Okay. Welcome everyone. I'm doing another test again today in the daytime, so get an idea of what it looks like with some decent lighting levels. I did a couple of tests yesterday, trying to test out the voice recorder that we were going to use for voice capture. That turned out to not be a suitable solution. They were basically these, they didn't even have a brand. They were just called digital voice recorders, just a $20 eBay job. But it wasn't that it wasn't picking it up well enough. It was probably that it was picking it up a little too well. The microphone was far too sensitive and just picked everything up to an extreme, so we had all this distorted sound. So I've gone back to my original solution that I used to capture the first video, which is just the iPhone 6 memory recorder with essentially the headphone microphone just taped to the inside of my helmet. Worked fine last time, nice and clear voice pickup without too much of the engine noise being overbearing. So I think I might actually just stick for that for the trip as the proper solution. So it's just gone 4 p.m. here in Melbourne, and we're about to head down Chapel Street, which is a very famous shopping precinct, especially this northern end of it. It's high-end fashion retailers and boutique fashion retailers, and all of those sort of cafes and restaurants that Melburnians are so proud of. It's essentially an espresso shot of Melbourne culture in one street. So as you can see, there's all these fashion places on one side, restaurants on the other, and then more fashion boutiques. So traffic's fairly heavy, but thankfully Victoria's got these bike lanes everywhere, so I'm not sure what the status will be for motorcyclists. Currently the laws around lane splitting are being reviewed, and they're going to be sort of changed in September. Because it's not exactly legal to split traffic in Melbourne. Well, there's no law that completely bans it. You can get charged for something else, like not staying in your lane or not giving way or something like that. So official word is that they're looking at adopting something similar to what they have in New South Wales, but more tailored for the Victorian conditions, which we have all these bike lanes around here. I'm hoping that becomes part of the solution, because it does help you get around traffic quite easily. Obviously giving way to the pedal-powered humans on bicycles, I suppose. I've got to be careful of the tram tracks along this street, which is just another hazard that Melbourne riders have to be aware of. The problem is they're quite slippery, because it's essentially just a flat polished piece of steel that's just sitting in the middle of the road. A couple of months ago I dropped my bike on Church Street because I was sort of heading behind the traffic and went to go around a taxi that was slowing, and I guess both of my wheels must have just been on the rail as I braked, because 1 second I'm about to go around this taxi, next second I'm on the ground. I can see flashing lights up ahead. I wonder what's happened with an accident or... Well, we're going to go past there. We might get a closer look. Looks like it is a policeman. Doesn't seem to be any other crashed cars or anything around. Well, hopefully he's busy and won't try and stop me about having my camera on. There's a bit of controversy at the moment in Melbourne about accessories for your helmet. Very recently, a couple of motorcyclists were fined for not wearing a helmet because they were wearing the helmet with a tinted visor. Would you believe it? Turns out that the helmets have to get past the safety regulations, the Australian standard with the clear visor, but it's not necessary on the tinted visor. So when you put the tinted visor on, that's not certified, and hence your helmet's not certified, so you're not wearing a certified helmet. It's fucking ridiculous. But they got fined, and so then there's this big argument of whether changing the visor is actually modifying the helmet or is it an accessory. The argument being that if you change the visor, you're not changing the structure of the helmet itself, and therefore you're not modifying it. Which then goes on to having a camera attached to your helmet, because they usually come with a little sticky pad that you just put on, and then the helmet clips onto the sticky pad. And so that's not modifying the structure of the helmet. So they can't get me on that, but I don't want to test the issue. So this is the Windsor end of Chapel Street. So less and less boutique department stores here, and you get more your backpackers and grubby pubs and convenience stores and things like that. It's the shabby end of Chapel Street. Now there's the Astor Theatre. It's an old-timey theatre. Inside it's still got leather upholstered seats and this opulent stage sort of set up for plays or musical productions. But for the last couple of decades they've been showing films there. Not like new releases or anything like that, but interesting films or classic films. With two films for the price of one, a double matinee, which is a charming old school way of showing films. Problem is, it wasn't making any money, so it ceased operations from now. It's come close to the death a couple of times, and organisations and people have donated money to keep it afloat. I think there is someone who's going to take over and continue to show films there. Hey, Charlie's Hotel. And because hopefully it comes back in some sort of iteration or some version of itself. It's a Melbourne institution, it'd be sad to lose it. I thought to myself I could just squeeze through on the other side, but at the front of a police station, probably not the best idea. So now heading down Carlisle Street, and I realise I'm pointing right into that sun. Hopefully that doesn't affect the picture too much. But if it does, I guess more of the learning curve. Good work. Let's get through here. So, yeah, you have to deal with the trams other than the lines. You have to deal with the trams themselves, I suppose. But yeah, just treat them as a big, slow car. They're more predictable than cars, so they're not too bad. They're good for separating the traffic as well. So you can get in front of them. Mostly that can keep the cars behind you, because especially where there's only one lane that has to be shared, the cars will have to stop each time the tram stops. Oh, someone got flashed. Probably running the red. I'm not sure if you picked that up on the camera, but one of the road safety cameras, in inverted commas, was just flashed someone. I hope you get to see it on the tape. So editing these things isn't too difficult, because I'm just keeping everything in chronological order. But what does take time is compiling into an actual movie file. Now, because I'm recording the sound separate to the video, there are two different files that I need to match up. I do that first in iMovie, and then I have to compile it to a single file with the sound and the video. And there's Luna Park. To do a half-an-hour video, that's takes about 3 hours for it to compile, and then I chop the bits out that I don't want, and then have to recompile it, but it's much shorter, so 15 minutes. It takes about an hour to compile, and then uploading it to YouTube, which takes another couple of hours. So it's time consuming in terms of processing, but the actual editing bit of it doesn't take any time at all. I suppose if I got a newer computer, mine's about 10 years old, it might go a little bit quicker. So these are the St Kilda sea baths. Not sure what the go is. I know that some of the professional Australian rules football teams will do recovery sessions there, and there's a gym and stuff, and people that go there love to tell you that they go there. Oh, I'm pointing right at the sun now. Just gonna tuck into this pier road here, which is always the location for meetups for group rides. Some of the groups of riders, when they say they'll meet at St Kilda or they're heading to St Kilda, generally they mean this bit here. So there's the marina. You can see St Kilda Pier up at the end there. There's a restaurant there. I hope you can see that. It burnt down once and it was rebuilt. So Port Melbourne institution. Anyway, this is where I'll leave it. Thank you again for watching. I'll try and edit this and get it out as quickly as possible. So if you like it, please share and subscribe.